Now at 5 and streaming on crossroadstoday.com, a Victoria woman is advocating for pedestrian safety after a near-fatal crash. And Industrial ISD is hosting more meetings to share information on the voter-approved tax rate election. Plus, Texans on Mission is delivering disaster relief after Florida gets hit by 2 hurricanes in as many weeks.
And speaking of hurricanes, Milton is just moving ashore tonight. This is going to be a long night over much of Florida as the center of the storm now about 50 miles off the coast. We'll have the latest on that and take a look at your forecast coming up in a moment.
Plus, a former Houston narcotics officer is sentenced for a botched drug raid that killed 2 people. You're watching 25 News Now at 5. Good afternoon and thanks for being with us. I'm Shawna Currie. Well, a Victoria woman is at the center of TxDOT's statewide Be Safe, Drive Smart pedestrian safety campaign. In July 2016, Katie Parker survived a near-fatal pedestrian crash when a driver failed to yield to her and her dog Riley on a crosswalk on John Stockbauer. Parker was hit with such force that she was thrown more than 60 feet and had multiple injuries, nearly losing her life. October was the deadliest month for pedestrians in our state last year, with 80 pedestrians dying in Texas traffic crashes. Over the last 5 years, pedestrian traffic fatalities in Texas have increased 22%. TxDOT's campaign encourages drivers and pedestrians to look out for each other, particularly as fall and winter bring fewer daylight hours and reduced visibility.
I lost my dog Riley and my sense of safety that day when crossing the street. To this day, when I cross the street, I can feel my heart race. I'm nervous when crossing the street when I'm not in a car. I'm lucky to be alive. I'm just one of thousands of pedestrians or bicyclists seriously injured or killed in crashes every year on Texas roads.
TxDOT encourages drivers to stop and yield for pedestrians in crosswalks. When turning, yield the right-of-way to pedestrians as well. Put your phone away before you begin driving and pay attention. Be cautious when passing stopped buses or other vehicles that can block your view of pedestrians, and follow the posted speed limit and drive to conditions. And that brings us to our viewer poll. How safe do you think the Crossroads area is for pedestrians and cyclists? We want to hear from you. Come to crossroadstoday.com/vote or scan the QR code there on your screen to participate. And right now, an average of those who have voted, you feel it's somewhat unsafe here in the Crossroads for pedestrians and cyclists. Again, continue to vote and we will bring the latest results to you on 25 News Now at 6. Industrial ISD is hosting 2 more informational community meetings to share details on the upcoming voter-approved tax rate election. The district is asking voters to approve a tax rate that will bring in additional revenue for maintenance and operations, which will then be used to pay increases for staff. If approved, taxpayers will see an 8-cent increase to the school tax rate. This could generate around $635,000 for Industrial ISD.
With that revenue, we'd be able to provide compensation increases for all of our employees, as well as to deal with some deficits. We have had to not renew some positions when people left us, so we'd like to get some of those positions back as well.
Now, if you haven't made it to a meeting, the next community session will be on Thursday of this week at 6 o'clock at the Industrial Elementary West cafeteria. There will be a presentation followed by time for questions and answers. To read more, you can visit www.industrialisd.org. Well, the 2 major party candidates for U.S. Senate will face off in a live debate on October 15th. Senator Ted Cruz, the Republican incumbent from Houston, is seeking his 3rd term, while Representative Colin Allred, a Democrat from Dallas, was first elected to the U.S. House in 2018. You can watch the hour-long debate starting at 7 p.m. on our sister stations, MeTV 33.1, KQZY, and 25 Now 25.4. This debate offers voters a key opportunity ahead of Election Day on Tuesday, November 5th. Texans on Mission is providing disaster relief as hurricanes batter Florida just 2 weeks apart. 5 trucks with volunteers from all over the state left Dallas this morning to help residents after Milton makes landfall. The group will drive through the day and rest at night, heading to wherever Milton impacts the most. The volunteer organization has provided more than 4,000 meals since Helene plowed into Florida 2 weeks ago.
This is just more people going out to where we've already been. We had people in St. Pete, Tampa working in flood recovery from Helene, and we just moved them to Valdosta, Georgia to be out of harm's way, and they're going to move back in with this group later on this week.
Volunteers are taking 2 large generators, 2 kitchen units, plus different equipment to help residents with the cleanup. The organization also has crews spread out across the Carolinas and Tennessee. Well, the outer bands of Hurricane Milton are now sweeping across South Florida. The powerful Category 4 storm is just hours away from making landfall. There have already been several tornadoes reported in the state. Now, ABC's Jacqueline Lee is in Tampa with more on what's expected to be one of the strongest hurricanes on record to hit the region.
Hurricane Milton closing in on the west coast of Florida. Rain and wind already being felt. The storm's outer bands spawning several tornadoes throughout the state. Home security footage capturing this possible tornado tearing through a neighborhood in Fort Myers, leaving a trail of damage. The massive storm expected to bring a record-breaking storm surge of 8 to 12 feet for the Tampa Bay and Fort Myers areas. An even bigger storm surge of 10 to 15 feet is expected into Sarasota and south. Water beginning to cover streets in Sarasota.
Hurricane Milton is going to be a deadly and catastrophic storm. It will bring massive storm surge, high winds, and severe flooding.
Resources assembled to respond. Utility crews on standby, anticipating widespread power outages. President Biden and Vice President Harris both briefed on the situation this afternoon.
But I urge everyone in Hurricane Milton's path to follow all safety instructions as we head to the next 24 hours. It's literally a matter of life and death.
Millions warned to evacuate, and many listened. Some packing what they could, going to shelters.
Everybody's worried about the same thing, do you have a home to come back to, or, damage?
The Sunshine Skyway Bridge over Tampa Bay closed. People fortified their homes.
Buttoned up the best we could, and we got out of there.
One homeowner literally tying down his home using heavy-duty straps. FEMA says there are more than 1,000 responders ready with food and water, as well as search and rescue teams. Jacqueline Lee, ABC News, Tampa.
All right, and now with a look at exactly where Milton is and when it's expected to come on shore, we have First Warn Storm Team Chief Meteorologist Mac Perez. Mac.
Thank you very much. We have the storm center about 50 miles off the coast of Sarasota, Florida. It is going to be a long night. The storm center just beginning to move ashore. They've already had the heaviest weather was basically on the east coast of Florida, where there was a huge band of tornadoes that came out of that. This is between the center of the storm and that area. There's always tornadoes around it. So this is now the beginning of a dark, long night over Florida as they're going to lose power. And we're going to see a lot of surges along here. We'll talk more about it and what it's going to do after it makes landfall coming up in just a few minutes. Back to you.
All right, definitely a long night in Florida. Mental health care for toddlers in Texas has long been overlooked, but that's starting to shift as lawmakers and child care centers push for a statewide mental health system. You can read the full Texas Tribune article by visiting our website, crossroadstoday.com. A former Houston police officer convicted of murder in connection with a botched 2019 drug raid that killed 2 people has learned his fate. A jury sentenced Gerald Goins to 60 years in prison. The state had asked for life, while the defense had asked for a minimum sentence of 5 years. Mia Shea has reaction on the sentence from both sides.
Gerald Goins held his emotions in check as the jury handed down a stiff sentence in his murder trial.
Texas Department of Criminal Justice for 60 years.
In the courtroom, the families of Regina Nicholas and Dennis Tuttle felt a sense of relief. Patricia Nicholas spoke on behalf of Regina's mom, who was too ill to travel.
And all she could say was, thank you, God, that justice has been served, and my daughter and her husband is not corrupt like they said they were.
It's been 5 years and 9 months since Gerald Goins lied to obtain a no-knock search warrant that led to a botched drug raid into the Nicholas and Tuttle home. The couple and their dog were killed. Getting to today was never certain, but Ryan Tuttle says worth every moment.
Justice is messy. Justice sometimes takes time. I think we hear about it in the media and movies, shows, but in the end, I have more faith than ever in our justice system, that there are people that are looking out.
Goins will have to serve at least 30 of the 60-year sentence. At 61, it's a de facto life sentence. But his attorney says they are not giving up.
Filed our notice of appeal. We think we have some excellent appellate issues. We still don't believe legally that he is guilty of the crime of felony murder, and we look forward to having the appellate courts review this. We've initiated that process today.
For the prosecutors who took this to trial, there was satisfaction in the verdict. But one question, why did Goins initiate this web of lies, has never been answered.
Thankfully for us, we don't have to prove a motive. Didn't mean we didn't want to find a motive, but our question for this jury is who is responsible and not why, and they answered that pretty quickly.
Here are some of the top headlines that you can read in the latest edition of the Port Lavaca Wave. Exhibitors get ready for the Calhoun County Fair, and more than 100 tons of material has been cleaned from Matagorda Island. Again, you can read those stories and more at portlavacawave.com. And remember to subscribe to our YouTube channel, Crossroads Today. Hit the like button and click the notification bell while you're there to receive alerts when we upload new videos. Stay with us. Straight ahead on 25 News Now at 5. The Harris campaign reaches their $1 billion fundraising milestone. We'll have the latest on that. Also ahead, the Kremlin denies claims of post-presidency Trump-Putin phone calls. Welcome back. The Kremlin denies reports that Trump spoke on the phone with Russian President Vladimir Putin up to 7 times after leaving office. The claim was reported in journalist Bob Woodward's new book, which cites a Trump aide saying there have been maybe as many as 7 calls between Trump and Putin since Trump left the White House in 2021. A Kremlin spokesman saying in response, it's a bogus story. In a statement, a Trump spokesman said Trump gave Woodward absolutely no access for the book. Well, the Harris campaign has hit a major fundraising milestone. In September, Vice President Harris's presidential campaign surpassed $1 billion in fundraising just 2 months after becoming the Democratic Party's 2024 nominee. This total includes funds raised by both the campaign and a joint committee supporting the Democratic National Committee and state parties. Harris now holds a significant financial edge over former President Trump, who raised $309 million through August. Republican super PACs are helping bridge the gap, spending more than $80 million on TV ads in September. Well, being an adult isn't always easy. Odds are you're juggling more than one thing at a time, and it may all feel overwhelming or have you wondering what else you can endure. Today's Health Minute explains the impact emotional exhaustion can have and ways to overcome it.
You may be a caretaker or parent, have a high-pressure job, or grieving a loss. Maybe it's all of the above. Sometimes life can leave you feeling drained.
The impact is quite large. both emotionally and also physically.
Dr. Denise Milstein with Mayo Clinic says emotional exhaustion is when your feelings become overwhelming. It can lead to symptoms like anxiety, irritability, and lack of focus. There can also be physical symptoms like fatigue, headaches, and lack of appetite.
I think one of the difficulties with emotional exhaustion is that it's not exactly a clinical diagnosis that would be captured in an office visit, for example.
That's why Milstein says it's important to stay aware of your feelings and address them. Eat a healthy, balanced diet is the core of well-being. Get regular exercise. Identify unhelpful thoughts such as you're not good at something, then replace them with balanced thoughts.
See if it's actually the reality or something you were just conditioned to believe early on and have never stopped to re-examine.
Finally, she says to find a method for stress management that's right for you.
These can include apps or books, journaling, or going to group sessions or therapy. The important thing is that you do something and you do it with intention.
For Health Minute, I'm Mandy Gaither.
A new study finds over 600 viruses on shower heads and toothbrushes. But that's not all bad news. Most viruses on toothbrushes come from the human mouth and the environment, while shower head viruses originate from water. However, these viruses don't cause illness. They're actually bacteriophages, which attack specific bacteria. Phages are being studied as potential treatments for antibiotic-resistant infections. Researchers are also exploring their use in creating drugs that target harmful bacteria without affecting the good ones. The study was published in the journal Frontiers in Microbiomes. Here's a look at some of the top headlines in this week's Quero Record. The new Republican headquarters opens and District 30 candidates answers questions. You can read these stories and more at DeWittCountyToday.com.
Well, good afternoon, everyone. 93 degrees, lots of sunshine. You know, it's beautiful weather. What can you say? But our friends in Florida are not having a good night. We're looking at, well, it's not in just yet, but our average should be about 86, so we're at least 94 as a high temperature. We'll be taking a look at Milton as it comes ashore coming up in a moment. Well, good afternoon, everyone. Beautiful sunshine for us, warm temperatures in the 90s, and there's really not a lot of change. We are directly affected by Milton. Milton is giving us that north wind that's bringing in the dry air and giving us the lovely weather, so we really don't have much to complain about. Meanwhile, Milton moves ashore at 120 miles an hour. Okay, this is, shall we say, landfall within the next hour. The eye is maybe less than 50 miles off the coast. For tomorrow, we're still staying in the 90s with abundant sunshine with us all the way through the weekend. In fact, the northerly winds will continue until about Friday, then a little bit of a south wind for Saturday and Sunday, and then another north wind comes in that might actually cool us down somewhat. But Here it is, Milton. Big storm moving northeast at 15 miles an hour, landing right at Sarasota, Florida. Now, a very interesting thing. We're going to be waiting for the photos to come in, but what's happening is that the storm is going like this, right? So it's taking the water out of Tampa Bay and blowing it out to sea. That's happened in Galveston and in Corpus Christi, where the wind was so strong this way that it's taking the water out, and they've got a mud bottom. This is what the reports are. And then once the storm comes through, well, then all that water comes back in. So the surge is really south of Tampa Bay all the way down to Fort Myers, where they're getting the worst of it and the highest level of the tropical storm. Now, as of 1, it'll be over central portions of Florida and then come out somewhere around Cape Canaveral. Cape Canaveral obviously is locked down tonight because that's where the shuttle and all the spacecraft are. So they're going to be looking at that system coming through. We're still watching a development area right about here, but that's probably next week. It's just showing up in the computer models that we may have another spin up. So we've got Milton going that way, potential here. We look around and see in the Atlantic, we've got 1, 2, 3 systems that are likely to develop. One of them just coming off the coast of West Africa. Here's another view of the storm, and there you can see the center of the eye of the storm just about moving ashore. There's Sarasota. They're getting it even as we speak. They're looking at 120 mile an hour winds. And earlier today, right about here, okay, see if I can explain this. Center of the storm's here, outer bands out there. In the middle, there's a sweet spot where all the tornadoes develop because the wind is going in this direction. So that occurred right there along the Indian River today. So places like Fort Pierce, West Palm Beach, and those areas were getting tornado warnings all afternoon. But now the storm's coming in, and that will settle down. It'll be just all rain. So it, shall we say, it's going to be a very dark, long night. As you can see right about here, all these areas are in flood watch, and these red areas that are popping up are the tornado watches that go up, and they decrease as the storms sort of roll through that area. So Fort Pierce is getting it, even though they're not in the center of the storm. Forecast rainfall for the next few days, well, nothing for us. All of it with Milton. Take a look at your forecast. Very simple, very nice sunny day. 92 in Port Lavaca. You get out to Cuero, we're getting up to 95. We'll stay above normal with these temperatures all the way through the weekend. Then a little front comes in Monday night. Maybe we'll get down to the upper 80s. Wouldn't that be exciting? That's your 7-day forecast. Reminding everybody we do have a QR code. Love for you to scan that. Put Crossroads Today on your phone. Here's Shawna.
All right, thanks a lot, Mac. Well, coming up next on 25 News Now at 5, we'll take a look at stocks. Plus, the U.S. government is considering breaking up Google's monopoly. The business news is next. Taking a look at your stocks, the Dow is up 126 points, the S&P 500 is up 55 points, and the Nasdaq is up 259 points. Oil is down 30 cents to $73.27 per barrel. The U.S. government is considering breaking up Google, one of the world's largest monopolies. In a Tuesday court filing, the Justice Department suggested separating Google's search business from Android, Chrome, and the Google Play Store. The DOJ claims this would stop Google from using its search tools to boost its products over competitors. Google responded in a blog post saying the move could worsen customer experience and hurt privacy. This follows an August ruling that found Google had violated antitrust laws with its search business. Google said it plans to appeal. The DOJ's recommendation could trigger a separate legal process. A quarter of employers say they are considering adding coverage for GLP-1 drugs for weight loss. These are medications like Wegovy that are intended for diabetes patients but have become popular for just weight loss use. Medications like these have been typically covered by employers for diabetes, but not so much for employees who aren't diagnosed with the condition. Workers will now learn whether they'll be eligible during open enrollment, which launches this month at some companies. A percentage of employers already covering the medication say they're considering dropping the drug given the cost. Wegovy, for example, is about $1,350 for a 4-week supply. Stay with us. We'll take a last look at Milton when we come back. Plus, American Girl Halloween costumes are bringing nostalgic dolls to life. And here's a look at what's coming up on World News tonight, right after 25 News Now at 5.
Coming up tonight, we have breaking news. Hurricane Milton set to make landfall right here in Florida just a short time from now. The major Category 3 hurricane, winds 125 miles per hour. They're now warning of a life-threatening storm surge. Also, the passenger jet flying across the U.S., the captain dying mid-flight. We're next.
Well, calling all millennial girls. If you've ever dreamed of being an American Girl doll, now's your chance. The doll company has teamed up with Rubies for adult Halloween costumes. You can choose from original favorites like 1854's Frontier Girl Kirsten 1904's Samantha or 1944's Molly. 1934's Kit, 1986's Courtney, 1974's Julie. The list goes on. There's so many of them available. Each costume includes recreation of the doll's full outfits. And get this, you can also get an American Girl doll box costume to complete the look.
What, you get in a box?
Yeah.
You wear the box?
I guess kind of like when Barbie, re-emerged as being popular. But I know, for a generation that American Girl was huge.
But I still trying to figure, you wear a box and you walk around with it? I'm open the box. You never know what you're going to get. It's hard to see in this thing.
Yes.
Anyway, folks, for us, just the beautiful weather continues. Lots of sunshine all the way through the weekend. Little front comes in on Monday night that'll actually knock the temperature down a tad. Meanwhile, of course, Milton is rolling ashore to Florida. Sarasota is in the crosshairs tonight, and it's going to be a long night in Florida.
Yeah, we'll be keeping an eye on it for sure and kind of seeing how all of that unfolds. But luckily here, I know I walked outside this morning and it felt wonderful.
Yes,
so,
nice and cool.
Yes. All right. Well, thanks for joining us. Be sure to join us back here for 25 News Now at 6. World News with David Muir is next.